It is morning in America again. Good morning, America, USA. God bless the USA. I mean, obviously, it is a we are happy with the outcome. I'm assuming you are happy with the outcome. I've taken the afternoon, the morning, and the early afternoon to kind of just process the victory, enjoy the victory, and hey, if I'm being honest, I mean, kind of revel in some leftist tears a little bit. I certainly won't rub it in publicly on my own socials or anything like that. I've chosen to take the high road in that regard, but on our own stream where we're specifically talking about politics, let her rip. So I'm going to let you have the
Yeah,
floor.
yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I've also been digesting the win. I remember last night watching. I did toggle between some left at CNN just for not for long, just to see their take. And they didn't call when I went to sleep at I don't know 11:30. They still hadn't called Georgia for Trump.
Mm.
They you know what I mean. They were still holding out this hope for Kamala. They were still dissing him. They were still what I mean. It's just and today now that it's absolutely 100% done, and she conceded. They finally started talking about their own autopsy and figuring out where they went wrong. Well, it's between you and me, if I can, I think there's two areas, and from my perspective, they're on policy and personality. Their policies don't match up with most Americans' concerns. I
Yeah.
mean, we saw the top three concerns were, the affordability crisis, inflation. Second, illegal immigration. Third, abortion, social issues. And they flipped that. Kamala was running on abortion to a country
Mm-hmm.
full of they're so disconnected from their own electorate that they don't even really understand what they're talking about or who they're talking to, or
Yeah.
they're talking at but not to. And what and Kamala used that's the policy side of it, and the personality side of it. That bucket, from my perspective, is the wrong way to talk to people. Dismissive, judgmental. I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
the end, insulting Trump, calling him Hitler, calling him a fascist. Joe
Mm-hmm.
Biden, the sitting president, calling Trump supporters garbage. These are people who are judgmental. Uh, they're not fit to serve. I mean, you. Every American is your work. You work for every American, and they don't. They've become the party of the elite. They become the party of this obnoxious, dismissive, judgmental, hypocritical elite, and
Yep.
they're going to keep losing. And I think what Trump has done now, we've got this. We've got a conservative Supreme Court. Now he's got a complete mandate in the House, Senate, and the executive office. I think this is going to change things for a while, maybe a generation.
Absolutely. And I think that again, the Democrats are going to do their kind of post-election post-mortem. And I think, look, they would be wise to maybe try to find their way back to maybe some of the principles that they initially were founded on. I think it's healthy and wise for them to do quite a bit of self-reflection and
Yeah.
try to figure out why and how they ended up here, because it's not just a bunch of hillbillies in flyover country that with the picks and their shovels
Nope.
voting for Trump. This was a decisive, popular and electoral victory, which is what I've been saying for weeks, or months rather. Like if it's going to be decided on the day, it has to be a decisive, clear-cut victory. So that is the one thing, at least so far today, as of while we're recording this.
Yes.
Of course, look, but the other side is going to hem and haw. And there's been some rumblings a little bit, just from independent people of, just saying, "Oh, election was stolen." I think it's quite interesting how all of a sudden, these are the same people that are crying election interference. But whatever, that's going to go
Yeah.
away. She's already conceded. He's already won. It's already been tabulated that he's won enough electoral votes, exceeded that. He's already won the popular vote. So it's a mandate. But the nice thing is that, because the biggest fear I had was that this is going to drag out for weeks
Me
and
too.
months, and it's
Me
going to
too.
be another January 6th. And it doesn't, at least, so far into the next day, it doesn't feel like we're going to have to deal with it. It seems like it should be a relatively peaceful transition of power. What's your take on forward?
I agree with you. It will be. And to your point, just a few paragraphs earlier, in terms of kind of giving them a break about not dwelling on their loss. I mean, they have they kicked Robert F. Kennedy Jr. out of their party. They sued him to run and not run in states. I mean, this is on them. I'm sorry, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in his whole life is classic liberalism. He is what the left is supposed to be. So they already had that person and they kicked him out. This is their doing. So you talk about reflection and things. This is who they are now. They have moved far to the left, farther than Bernie Sanders. I mean, they're aggressively woke, aggressively transgender rights, aggressively open borders, aggressively we'll take your money and pay off student loans, or people that are going to be doctors and lawyers and people in our party from working class. I mean, they've made this choice, man. They need to pivot really, really hard. I don't think reflection is the way to do it. They need to show with their actions that they're not just for elites. And so they deserve this. They deserve this thumping. To quote George Bush, remember I mean, they got thumped. They deserved it, and it's their own making. And thinking Kamala Harris had any chance carrying a country when no one knew who she was 100 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, you know what I mean? And Trump's been around for 34. He's been an icon for 40 years.
40 years,
and now the most important political figure on the planet for the last decade. She kind of didn't have a chance, and they should have known that, and they should have primaried. They knew Joe Biden had dementia. They knew he was sick. They knew that he was senile. They knew that, and they chose not to primary anyone else. So this is all on them. This is all bad calculations, calculated risks that failed, and also an arrogance and a strong arrogance and disregard for democracy and for the average person. They just don't care. And this is what you get when you behave like that as a public servant.
Yep, 1,000%. That couldn't agree more. It really is the height of arrogance. I mean, everything.
Hubris. It's hubris.
Yeah, everything that we've gone through over the last 4 years. I mean, I will say it does feel like we spoke a little earlier, before the podcast. It does feel like there's a little bit of a weight that's been lifted, I think, from our side. I mean, yeah, look, I'm not going to go on and gloat, and I'm not going to rub it in anybody's faces. I mean, obviously, because really this is the time for real unity, and this is the time for us to show our true colors, and now this too, because we don't want to be the hypocrites that we complain about. But I also think that it just feels like, okay, going forward, I don't necessarily have to be afraid to, like you don't have to be afraid to wear that hat. Not that you ever were, but there's people out there that were even afraid to wear just a shirt that said, hey, we the people. Or just, I mean, there's nothing partisan about the American flag, but it just felt like for the longest time, even if you so much as wore an American flag or showed any kind of patriotism at all, whether you were gunning for one side or not, you were just looked at. You just felt like you were being just scrutinized, and that's an evil. Now I kind of feel like that's lifted.
Well, and Jeff, to your point, shame on them for making us feel ashamed to be proud to be an American. Shame on them for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Kamala's Kamala's speech today, her what do you call it?
Concession speech.
Her concession speech was still a rally cry of nonsense. I mean, everything she said, she doesn't really mean, because she's not for free speech. She's not for freedom for average people. She's for none of those things. I mean, it was a reminder of how full of poop she really is, and how wonderful it is that she lost this decisively, and that her thinking, that the way that she thinks and talks, does not fit. I mean, America has rejected that completely, and they should, because there's no place for someone like that in public affairs.
Yeah, I love it.
Go back to being a prosecutor, become an educator, but you do not belong in the public square thinking that everyone thinks the way you do, this far to the left of everything. No one does.
Yep.
And Shame on her. Shame, and even Bernie Sanders said some pretty torturous things today about the left. You hear? I mean, he kind of let it rip because he just won re-election. He's old. He's near the end of his career in life, and he let him have it. He's like, listen, man, we've moved so far away from the working people. The working people said enough is enough. I don't blame them.
Yep.
And he's not wrong there. So that's a bit of self-reflection. But the people that run the party really need to look at what if they want to win anything again, because in 2 years there's going to be a midterm. That's not a long time. So I don't think. I guess what I'm trying to say is what goes around comes around, and karma has no deadline.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point.
And Barack Obama's influence on the party, I think now has become toxic.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and I think that this is a massive realignment for both parties, I think. Because look, we from our vantage point have been watching the right become more like the party of the people. We've been we've been gaining more people from these different divergent backgrounds, social backgrounds, ethnical backgrounds, all that. And and the other side has gone to these extremes. So hey, look, I haven't seen Bernie Sanders post-mortem. I'd love to see it, but yeah, if that's the case, then he is right. I mean, they've become everything that they've railed against.
But a day ago he was shilling for Kamala.
Because he had to, because they
I know,
all had to toe the party line.
I know he had to, but it also tells you that he's also just a politician. He's not a socialist.
Of course,
he's a capitalist. He's a capitalist masking as a socialist and has been for 40 years. What I just thought of was, just now as you were talking, I was thinking, what's funny? Throughout the entire campaign in the last 100 days when Kamala hopped in, have you ever heard Kamala talk about farmers?
No, nope.
Or about, you know what I mean? Or about how important energy costs. I mean, she doesn't, all she talks about are these top-down issues that Americans don't really care about. And she really thought the abortion thing would get her the women vote and get her elected. And that was such a miscalculation on every level, because not every woman in this country is of childbearing age. And a lot of women who run households realize how broke those households are because of her policies and Joe Biden's policies. Didn't address that at all. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe that you're actually broke. Don't believe that when you get your credit card statement and you're maxed out. Don't worry about that.
Yep.
It's like all you can worry about when you're in that position, and most people are in that position right now because of her policies and Joe Biden's policies. So it's a karma met Kamala.
Yeah, hey, maybe that's the alternate title.
Karma found I don't know how to say it, but I mean, she's never been likable. She remains not likable. She was resoundingly defeated by someone who's very likable, very relatable. Because think about how they campaigned too. She used celebrities. She did Hillary Clinton's script. Celebrities and musicians to entertain people, and didn't want to talk about policies at all. She didn't give one press release. She will go down in history to date as a presidential candidate who never did one formal press release ever. And she paid the price for that, because people do want to know what you plan to do for them with their tax dollars. She had no answers. And on The View, would you do anything differently as a president than you did as a vice president under Joe Biden? I can't think of anything. Really? Wow. She dug her own grave. I can't believe Obama sat by and watched this, unless I guess like you said, they had no choice.
They had no choice. It was all about the funding.
They must have known they were going to lose.
Yeah, it was all about the funding. And look, it goes back to one of the most prominent Democratic strategists of all time said back in the 90s. It's the economy, stupid. That's it. And I think, look, and when you're in the middle of the election season, and it looks like the other side might be gaining some ground, I start to doubt it and go, oh, maybe it is. Maybe abortion is like the most important pressing thing. Maybe that's more important than the economy or World War III. Right? Maybe that's just what the country cares about. But I was thankfully proven wrong again, thankfully. And it comes back down to the economy. And I also think that as far as, Kamala and her overall likability, it's quite telling that last night she didn't necessarily have to concede last night, but she didn't even address her,
Nope.
the faithful supporters that
Nope.
were at her campaign headquarters for hours waiting and watching their hopes and dreams just get crushed by the minute. And she had no, and neither did Hillary Clinton, if you remember, in
Exactly.
2016.
I remember very well.
Yeah, both of them. And to me, that just screams elitist. We're up here.
Yep.
You're only useful to us when we need you. And it's just
Exactly.
one more example of, we're up here and you're down there, and we'll
Yep.
come to you when we need you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
do any of her followers, I don't know, hopefully maybe, once they get over this first initial day of sadness and disappointment, I hope some of them kind of come around and go, yeah, come to think of it, I was sitting in there for, 6 hours waiting to see the results, and she
Exactly.
didn't even show up.
Nope.
She didn't even bother to address the country or to address her followers until much later the next day. I mean, what does that say? So to me, that just looks cowardly. So she's not only afraid to engage with the press or the mainstream media and the independent media like Joe Rogan, she's also afraid to engage with her own supporters. So what does
I,
that say? She couldn't engage with the other world leaders.
I don't
It's
think it's. I
ridiculous.
don't think it's even. I don't think it's afraid. I think she just does. She doesn't care. She's not. She feels like she's better. I mean, she's a dis. The two buckets I talked about: policy, personality. Her personality. She's not a leader. Leaders make you feel like you want to be on their team. She doesn't make you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
She makes you feel like you're useful to her as long as you're useful to her. Then you're not.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yep.
showed that actions speak louder than words. She showed that on election night. She showed that in her concession speech, where she basically talked about herself, and about her plans to keep the fight going and all this stuff. All platitudes. It was a speech full of 12 minutes of platitudes with no substance. No, again, like her campaign,
Mm-hmm.
platitudes, nonsense, and far left jibber jabber. You know what I mean? Just nothing. And she didn't belong in that position anyway. She doesn't belong on the world stage. She's not a leader. She's not even really a politician. She's a
No.
lawyer. She should go back to practicing law, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I mean, look, and
You know?
the only reason why she was brought onto the world stage is because, Joe Biden basically just used her as an insurance policy, and then that blew up in his face because
Yep.
when he wasn't able to do it anymore, they said, "Well, we got no choice. We got to keep all this campaign cash, and
Yep.
so it has to stay in this administration." So
Well,
I think I think it's really telling. I don't know if this is true or not. This is totally just a meme or whatever, but
mhm.
it was kind of funny seeing those pictures and the footage of Jill Biden leaving her polling place in a red outfit. I don't know what that signifies. I don't know
Yeah.
what that means, but I think both of them are pissed off, and they said, "Look, she's going to lose anyway. We're just going to give them the finger and
Well,
vote for
well,
Trump."
listen. Well, listen. I mean, why wasn't Joe Biden at her concession speech?
Why wasn't Joe Biden really involved at all in her campaign? He did a couple of really small stops, you took a few licks of ice cream and then went back to the basement. I mean, they don't want to
Exactly.
trot him out.
Exactly.
They basically asked him to not be a part of it. And I think at some point him and Jill were probably they were forced out, they were ousted. Who knows? I mean, really what the conditions of his of his kind of surrender were. Maybe it
Right.
was just as simple as, look, you get out of the race and we won't throw Hunter in prison for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
It could
know?
very well could be. Yeah. But you know what? I think what Trump is exposed. Just think about what Trump has done. What one guy has done in the last decade. He's shown us that the fake news is really fake.
Mm-hmm.
We might not have really known how true that was until he came on the world stage and showed us. Um, and that the Democrats will do anything to win. The lawfare blew up in their faces. Um, all the nonsense about him being Hitler and the Charlottesville and all this, just not, people don't buy it because it's not true. You can spend 5 minutes on YouTube and watch his actual speech about Charlottesville and realize the doctored, edited clip they keep referring to is just exactly that, a
Mm-hmm.
doctored, edited clip. It's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's misinformation. Ironically, the party that thinks they have the right to tell us what misinformation is practices misinformation themselves when it suits them.
Hmm.
They're hypocrites, and Trump has exposed all that. And I think what Trump has really exposed is that the Democrats are really a party in disarray. I mean, they don't have a clear leader, right? Their sitting president is literally a lame duck nobody. He Now their VP has no future. Obama's out. He's been out for
Hmm.
a while. Who's their rising star? What are they hanging on to? Like what's going to move them forward? It's not wokeness. Americans have rejected that. It's not open borders. Americans have rejected that. It's not the current batch of far left socialist extremists. Americans
Hmm.
rejected that. So they're really a party in disarray. And in terms of raising money and move as a party and staying in business, what are you investing in if you invest in Democrats?
Hmm. Hmm. And you know
I'm
what?
asking.
Yeah, and I think the right, the Republican Party had a similar kind of come to Jesus moment, prior to, like, right before Trump, or right as Trump was entering the political arena
Yes,
almost 10 years
yes,
ago, because
yes,
he has changed the face of the party literally, and he's changed the entire makeup of the electorate, and built these coalitions, and
yes.
so I think, look, it could be a good thing. Ultimately, when you look back, it'll be a good thing. Maybe the Democrats, look, I don't inherently want either side to fail or crash and burn. I would love for both of our sides to come with good ideas, and then you meet in the middle. I'm open to that. So hopefully this is enough of a wake up call for their side, to where they go, okay, we really need to realign and get back to, and then you'll have two parties working for the interest of the people, instead of,
Right. But you didn't finish your sentence, because get back to what? It can't be getting back to these far left woke policies.
no.
America has rejected that. So are there any Democrats in the middle anymore? If they are, they need to start speaking up. We said in a previous episode that, out of the last 16 years, the Democrats have controlled the White House for 12.
Hmm.
So you power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. They become corrupt, absolutely. And
Hmm.
Kamala Harris is a prime example of that, and so is Joe Biden. So they need to go, and they're going.
Yep.
Trump's gonna hit reset on the entire country, and it's gonna be a good thing for everybody. I agree that we should meet in the middle with people who are reasonable. We can't meet in the middle with people that believe men should compete against women in sports. We can't
Absolutely.
meet in the middle with people that think open borders are good for our country,
Yeah.
and using our social security money to pay for people that don't belong here is a good idea. That's not
Hmm.
the middle. So
Yeah.
the Democrats have a lot of soul searching to do. They should do a real autopsy. They need better policies. They need to reconnect with the electorate.
Hmm.
Most people are not coastal elite atheists. That's what their party's made up of now. And
Hmm.
that's going to appeal to nobody.
Well, it's just like, look, Barack Obama was he changed the face of the Democratic Party when he emerged on the scene.
Right.
When they decided to anoint him as their kind of party's main figurehead, because remember, they trotted him out in the 2004 Democratic convention.
Yep.
Nobody had really heard of him before. He just kind of came out, of the blue, and then all of a sudden, 4 years later, he was the president of the United States.
Right.
So I mean, who knows what kind of backroom plans were going on there, but their party has reflected his ideals for the last, for up to now,
For too long.
for too long. And so now you've got Trump, who's changed the face of the Republican Party, and and the platform and everything. So I think that the left is due for another realignment. Who that person will be and what they'll bring to the table remains to be seen. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They are in dire need of a real autopsy, and just re-examining of their platform.
Yeah, and it was, and they didn't talk about it very much in this cycle. Trump sure did, but how about peace through strength? Biden and Harris have the Middle East is a bloodbath because of
Mhm.
them. Um, endless war in Ukraine. If she would have won, that would have remained endless. I mean, it's ridiculous. So people are tired of watching our money get spent on everything that's not benefiting Americans directly. I mean, we
Mhm.
have the right to want our tax dollars to go to making our country better and our life better here in this country. And the Democrats have forgotten that. And I think Trump was a very, very solid reminder of the fact that America first means America first. We get our house in order, and then we help the world. We get our house in order, and then we worry about stuff outside of the country. We're not isolationists, but we're America first. And a lot of people are suffering. A lot of Americans, food insecurity it's gotten so bad. And the Democrats just talked about abortion and talked about transgender rights. It's like, how disconnected can you possibly get from your own people? And so this needed to happen. And the Democrats will no longer be drunk on power for a long time. And the Republicans have a great chance to hit reset on everything. I really hope Trump comes in. I found a clip before we got on the podcast of Trump talking about before he takes office on January 20th. His message was to Hamas. He said to Hamas, before I get back in office by January 20th, you better return to all those hostages, because if you haven't, you're in for a real reckoning. He's going to go right after them. And they know he means it. They know he's serious. He's not Joe Biden. He's not going to fiddle and faddle and forget about it and talk about, gay rights. He's going to go after them. He's going to go right after them. So I think that alone will help settle these nonsense wars that we're in. It'll save our biggest ally in that region, Israel, who we have to save and help. And I think the war in Ukraine will wrap up pretty quickly once he gets back in power, or even before.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of these wars are going to wrap up hopefully before he takes office, because of exactly what you said. They know that he means business. On the financial and economic front, we're already seeing the markets have already gone up. My Coinbase crypto account is doing very well today. So
Me too.
That's lovely.
Me too.
So just the news. Anybody that says the presidents don't control the economy, the president and the leadership in the country controls the temperature of the economy. They influence the economy, even if they don't maybe directly have, they're maybe not directly switching the knobs, but they certainly have an influence on that. So as evidenced by just this morning with the markets going up, because confidence, I think, is going to be coming back. Had 100%. Kamala won, I guarantee you the markets would have responded the other way.
Yep, absolutely. It's a new day. It's going to be a great 4-year. I'm looking forward to the holiday season. I'm looking forward to. I can't wait until he gets back in power. I can't wait till he puts his hand on the Bible and takes the oath again, and we are really back under the right leadership. We're all hungry for it. We all need it, and I think the Democrats learned a very valuable lesson. And that's if you let down the American people again and again and again, we start to notice eventually. You fool us once, fool us twice, but come on, Kamala Harris is not going to be the president.
Yeah. And you know what is great about there's one other thing that, again, I really, really am, at least as of right now, I'm really relieved that it appears that this is going to be a decisive victory and a smooth transition power. There won't. It's not looking like there's going to be months of lawsuits and and all of this and digging through.
Nope.
And I really think that honestly, and look, I'm not one to heap praise on the other side, but I will say if they can hold true to that, that's going to do wonders for restoring overall confidence in our elections.
I agree.
Again. Because
I completely agree.
Everybody was, look, even now, especially when you look at the returns and you say, okay, Kamala won by how many? Kamala got 64 million or something like that, and Trump got maybe like 60. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but that makes that 81 million figure from 2020 really suspect. So look, do we go after that? Do we try to,
nope.
Look, it is what it is. It's water under the bridge, but at least now we don't have to worry about, I don't know. My faith in the election process is restored a little bit.
Me too. And partly it's because Kamala underperformed everywhere where she was supposed to overperform. She underperformed with all the demographics, and Trump did the opposite. Trump overperformed everywhere, and he kicked her ass. He kicked her ass because he had better ideas. He had real policies, and he was himself out stumping, answering questions, doing interviews, going on podcasts, not hiding from the reporters, not hiding from anything, anywhere. He hadn't taken a day off in 60 days. She took days off every couple of days and was doing one event a day. And half of that event was Meg the Stallion and live music, and like she just was a phony candidate from the start, and it was kind of pitiful actually. And now that she's lost this decisively, we know that it didn't work. And again, I'm so proud of us for sticking together. I'm so proud of us for doing this podcast,
Sure.
and changing some hearts and minds along the way. I think the future is very bright for the Republican Party. It wasn't for a long time, and now it is again. The Democrats are in disarray, and they should be, because when you have this, when your policies are this bad and this anti-American, you deserve to lose.
Yep, 1,000%. So, all right. Well, I mean, look, in kind of wrapping up or
Yep.
closing this particular session, I mean, I just kind
Yes.
of want to put the little teaser out there for perhaps the next thing that we can talk about, because look, we won the battle. There's still a war to be won, and
Yes.
there's all kinds of time between now, November 6th, through January 20th. Anything could happen. Who knows if this is going to be as peaceful of a transfer as we're hoping it will be. I'm
Sure.
thinking, I feel a lot more better about it today than I did a couple days ago, but still, anything could happen. So
Yeah.
there's things that are going to have to be dealt with from now to then, and then of course once Trump takes over. So this work is not done by any of us. I
No.
mean, because
No. No.
it's
No.
all about, look, we love the fact that Trump got in. I love the fact that the coalition he's built and the administration it looks like he's building is fantastic. Doesn't necessarily mean that we don't hold them accountable. We don't, you know what I mean? Now I
No. Of
think it's
course. Of course.
everybody's responsibility on any side to hold your elected officials accountable. The main difference, though, is that I think that this administration is actually cares about that. You know,
It
they care
does. Of course, it
about being
does.
held accountable. You
Well, of
know,
course it does. Let's not forget Trump never took a paycheck for 4 years. He donated his paycheck. I mean, he literally it wasn't there to profit from that position. By the Biden crime family. Let's hope he gets prosecuted along the way. Let's hope something happens to that guy.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
Sure.
I digress. But I mean, yes, I agree with everything that you just said. I think it's going to be a positive transition. I think Trump will get in there, have the right team around him. I mean, Bobby Kennedy going after. I mean, make America healthy again. Did Kamala talk about Americans' health ever once?
No, never.
But what? I mean, 100 Americans are pre-diabetic. I could go on. So it's. I mean, Trump is going to kill it with a great team, and I can't wait for it to get started.
Yeah, me neither. Or me too. Me too. All right. So, well, look, I mean, that is kind of our state of the union as of November 6th, our year of our Lord 2024. And one more thing. Speaking of year of our Lord, how about those Amish? I mean, I'm just, come on. Look, you are from the state of Pennsylvania originally.
I
And
am.
I got to tell you, man, they turned out, and God bless them, literally, for doing that. So that's great. I mean, it's when we were talking about it last weekend, you're like, is this like a setup? Is there a punchline to this? Because it sounds like the setup of a joke. But let me tell you who's going to save the election: the Amish, and they played a pretty big part in it.
Well, you mentioned. I mean, if I just one last
Sure.
political point before we go.
Sure.
I mean, the very fact that Kamala didn't choose Josh Shapiro, the governor from Pennsylvania, who's very well liked and Jewish. Like that, she picked Tim Walz, this moron from. I mean, literally, he was baggage. She was already not a great candidate, and her VP choice was a nobody who ends up who's farther to the left than she is. She could have had Josh Shapiro on her side. Then we have this might be a whole different conversation today. The election last night could have been completely different if Josh Shapiro had been her VP the entire way, and she failed in every way you can fail as a candidate, in my opinion.
Yep.
Messaging, what choice of VP, how to construct rallies, and avoiding the press, having questionable musical acts on stage, singing about an inappropriate. I mean, all of it was just like, who are you appealing to here? Who do you think's going to like this stuff? And who do you think likes you?
Absolutely.
It was just a very, very rough. It was like watching a terrible touring act, you know, thrown on stage at the last minute because the headliner couldn't make it for 100 days.
That's exactly what it is. And you know, all these people are, you know, you're seeing some of the pundits say, well, I mean, looking back, she only had 107 days or whatever. It's like, you could have given her all the time in the world, and that doesn't help her charisma. It doesn't help her personality. It's like, she is who she is.
Listen,
yeah.
Case in
Good.
point, Hillary Clinton, when she got her opportunity in 2016, she'd been in the public eye for 30 years. I mean, we've talked about this before. She sat there and watched Bill Clinton, one of the best politicians, speakers in the history of our country. I mean, that guy could talk. That guy could sell a raincoat to a Bedouin. Okay, I mean, he was a fantastic. He was a Rhodes Scholar. I mean, he was the real deal. He was a Democrat and he was a dog in his personal life.
Sure.
But she didn't absorb any of that. She couldn't give a speech, no charisma. So the point is, osmosis doesn't work when it comes to being around. You can be right next to Abraham Lincoln, but not talk like him, and not be. She was next to Bill Clinton for all. I mean, he couldn't get closer as his. He is her husband. She got none of that stuff. She's who she was. You're right. Kamala is the way she is. She'll always be that way. That's why I think it would be better for her and for our country for her to exit the stage, the political arena forever. Because what do you come back and do after that resounding loss?
Yeah.
What donor is going to give you money after seeing you lose at that level, that big, that conclusively?
Yep. We still have yet to see the return of Michael Dukakis or Geraldine Ferraro or Walter Muller and any of those.
Well, they went into the private sector as they should have, because that's where they belong. They don't belong in public service, and neither does she.
Yep. So let's hope that that's what happens. And I'm looking forward to the fact that we don't have to worry about Civil War 2.0 as of yet. It's not looking like that. For a minute, it was kind of looking like that. So, but no, this is great. And like I said, a decisive electoral and popular victory helps ensure that the Republic remains strong. So on that note, as always, for those of you who are interested, you can like and subscribe and follow us at Patriots Only Please. We are on all of the major social sites, though that's our handle, at Patriots Only Please. And if you are so inclined to join the mailing list and find out when the next episode is going to be, join the club, because we don't know when the next episode is going to be either, but we'll let you know when we know, and you'll know at the same time. So check it out at patriotsonlyplease.com, or if you want to check out any of the previous episodes, we have links to the archive as well. So until next time, hey, it's a new day. It feels like the energy is different today. I haven't left the house yet, but the energy in my house is different.
The Democrats are looking at each other with hollowed eyes and empty heads, shaking them, going, "What the hell just happened?" And the smart people in the room are saying, "What happened is you got your ass kicked because you were wrong about everything."
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, amen. Let's keep on trucking and keep on trumping. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Keep on trumping.
All right. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye for now.